Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into a really interesting comparison. Arccos versus Shot Scope. I've personally been using Arccos and their club sensors for over 5 years, but recently I made the switch to Shot Scope. The biggest reason I did this was subscriptions. I got a little sick and tired of paying every year for my own data. Now I know a lot of you out there are weighing up which system is right for you, so I'm gonna give you my honest pros and cons of both systems and what it's like to actually switch after all these years with Arccos. Let's get into it. I'm going to start with Arccos since that's where my journey into shot tracking and data analysis began. Before I do, I want to apologize for how echoey it is in here. I'm in the middle of upgrading the simulator room and that should be done by the end of this week, so keep an eye out for videos on that soon. But anyway, back to this video. There are so many things that Arccos actually nailed with their system. First of all, the app. Honestly, I think this is the best GPS app I have ever used. I've used GPS apps like Golf Pad and Golf Shot and 19 Birdies and there's loads of them. There's absolutely loads of them. But the Arccos one is the best. The layout of the app is really clean, it's really professional, and the way the course looks on the app is really great. It just feels really polished and it feels like it's something that's made for tour pros. The way the data is presented on the app is fantastic. If you want to quickly see how you're performing, Arccos makes it super easy. It's almost addictive looking at the data after you've played your round of golf. But there are some frustrations that over time really wore me down. Number one, and the biggest reason, was the subscriptions. Every single year you have to pay your subscription fee to the app just so you can access your data. You've already bought the hardware and now you're locked into using and paying for this subscription every single year. And over the years, it starts to add up. The second reason is the sensors themselves. The sensors rely on a built-in battery, which obviously over time eventually dies. And when that happens, you have to replace them. So on top of the annual subscription, you've got this looming expense that is bound to arrive at you in the future. Overall, it's quite an expensive product. And then there's the little things that actually impact the accuracy of your stats. For example, if you drive the ball into the trees, which all of us are going to do from time to time, the smart play is always to chip out sideways. Now the problem here is that Arccos assumes that that chip out recovery shot was you actually going for the green. So suddenly your approach shot stats are ruined, even if you've hit a really good recovery shot. So I found that really annoying with the Arccos app, and since switching to Shot Scope, I feel like my approach shot stats are much more accurate. One thing I do really miss about Arccos though is their putt tracking capabilities. The app actually tracks where you're walking on the green. So when it comes to post-round edits, it's very easy to determine where the pin was and where you hit your first putt from. That is such a clever touch from Arccos, and I do wish that Shot Scope had this capability. So after years of using Arccos, I decided it was time for a change. I've been using the Shot Scope system now for about a month, and specifically I've been using the H4 GPS unit with their club sensors. The first thing that stands out for me with Shot Scope is the value. With Shot Scope, you pay once for the hardware and then that's it. No subscriptions. The app and the stats are all completely free, which is a huge difference compared to Arccos. Now the app itself, I don't think is quite as polished as the Arccos app. The GPS map in particular, I don't think is anywhere near as good as Arccos. The satellite imagery that Arccos uses seems to be a lot more defined compared to Shot Scopes, so navigating your way around the course is a lot easier with the Arccos app. My course, for example, the images are really not great. It's really difficult to even define where bunkers are. Navigating around the actual GPS map is okay with Shot Scope, but again, it was much easier with the Arccos app. But here's the thing. Because I'm using a handheld GPS device, I don't have to rely on the app for my yardages. Whereas with Arccos, the phone app is the only way to view your yardages. So when I was using Arccos, my phone was out of my pocket constantly and I was in and out of that app all the way around the course. Now with Shot Scope, I've replaced all of that phone activity with a simple glance at my GPS unit, which is attached to my golf bag. I found this to be a much more relaxing way to play golf. One other big difference between the two systems is how the actual sensors work. Shot Scope uses NFC technology, so before you take your shot, you tap your sensor against the GPS unit to register that shot. The Arccos sensors, however, use some sort of internal gyro system, so when you take the club out of the bag and tip it upright, it activates the sensor, and when you've hit a shot, it registers the actual shot. Now that's a really nice bit of tech from Arccos, but the trade-off is that those sensors use batteries and those batteries will eventually die. With Shot Scope, it is a manual registration of that shot. And yes, sometimes I do forget, but I know that the sensors themselves will never stop working, and I will never have to pay to replace them. Like I said, I've only been using Shot Scope for about a month, so there's still a lot of getting used to do with this system. I think the manual registration of these shots will actually be a bit more subconscious later on when I've used it for a while, but the data it's providing is already helping my game. Over the last month, I've really been struggling with my tee shots, and the data in the app told me exactly where I was struggling. Now, the data I was looking at about my driving game prompted me to go and get a lesson. And after one lesson, my strokes gained off the tee jumped through the roof. And that's the whole point of these systems. They help you identify which part of your game you need to work on. And that means we can have some focused practice to get better. This might help you guys pick which system is best for you. Let's put these guys head to head. The way Arccos presents its data is great. It's simple, it's clear, and it's very easy to digest. Shot Scope, on the other hand, gives you more detail and more stats. You can really dig into each area of your game, but it is a little bit overwhelming, especially at the start until you get used to the app. But once you are used to it, there's a serious amount of data to help you understand your game. When it comes to app usability, Arccos is an easy win for me. Again, I'm still getting used to the Shot Scope system, but the Arccos app is simply easier to use. Like I've said throughout this video, the Arccos app feels a little bit more polished, whereas the Shot Scope app is a little bit more rough around the edges. I will say this though, once you have got used to the app, those rough edges are a lot less noticeable. Out on the golf course, Arccos relies heavily on your phone. We've spoken about how good the GPS app is and things like this, but the problem is that you have to get your phone out. I played in a round yesterday that was horrendously wet, and there was no way I was getting my phone out during that round of golf. But luckily I had my Shot Scope H4 GPS device on the outside of my bag, and I was still able to play golf with yardages. With Arccos, the phone is central. You need it for the GPS app out on the golf course. But with Shot Scope, you've actually got hardware options. There's watches, there's rangefinders, and of course I've got the H4 GPS handheld device. And for me, that has been an absolute game changer. I've loved not having to get my phone out on the golf course anymore. When it comes to accuracy, I think both systems are actually very similar. I don't think GPS accuracy is an issue with either system. Where Arccos fell down for me though was with missed shots, which I did usually put down to the sensors running out of battery. Shot Scope's NFC technology means the accuracy is on me. If I forget to tag my club, it's my fault. So overall, I feel like Arccos is smoother and more polished, while Shot Scope feels more detail orientated and practical. So which one should you actually go for? If you're the kind of golfer that wants everything on their phone and you don't mind paying a subscription every year, then Arccos is a great option. The app is the best in the business and the system is very easy to use. But if you're someone who wants a one-time purchase with lifetime access to really detailed stats, then Shot Scope is a no-brainer. Yeah, the app isn't as slick, and yes, the GPS maps aren't as good, but you're not locked into paying a subscription every year, and you'll always be able to access your data to improve your golf game. I've been shot tracking my golf game for a number of years now, and personally, I would be recommending Shot Scope. The value is just too good with this product, and long term, it's a system you can rely on and stick with without worrying about added and extra costs in the future. For me, it comes down to subscriptions and overall value, and Shot Scope is an easy win here. Collecting data about your golf game is a long-term project. It's not about one round of golf, it's about building a picture over months and years of playing. And that's why I see myself sticking with Shot Scope moving forward. Both systems are honestly great, and I feel like both Arccos and Shot Scope are the top two products in this space. But for me right now, Shot Scope is the winner. If you've used either system, I'd love to hear from you guys. Get in the comments, let me know which one you prefer. If you would like more information about the Shot Scope products I used in this video, hit the link in the description. Guys, thank you so much for watching this whole video. If you found this video helpful, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I will see you next week for another one.